Iran unleashed waves of major simultaneous missile and drone attacks across the Gulf on Sunday morning, targeting Qatar, the UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, and others hosting U.S. bases. The strikes come in response to a renewed U.S. offensive late on Saturday and into the early hours of Sunday, which Washington says were initiated after Iran targeted another ship in the choke point Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. Central Command said it carried out strikes on 140 Iranian positions after their forces struck a Cyprus-flagged container ship, setting it ablaze and forcing its crew to abandon it. Multiple loud booms shook Doha as Qatar's air defenses worked to intercept the incoming Iranian fire, which included a number of ballistic missiles, and alerted the public to remain indoors. Euronews journalists in Dubai say authorities there also sent similar warnings as the country's defenses worked to neutralize threats targeting the emirate. Iran added that its latest attacks also targeted the Prince Hassan Air Base in Jordan, which occasionally hosts U.S. deployments, destroying a number of facilities. Oman's Duqm port, used by the U.S. Navy, also came under fire, according to representatives of Iran's Revolutionary Guards. Tehran announced shortly after the U.S. attacks on Sunday that the Strait of Hormuz, a vital waterway where 20% of the world's oil typically passes, has been closed, bringing about fears of another global oil price crisis.
A deadly wildfire that has killed at least 12 people in Spain's Almería province has been stabilized. Since Saturday afternoon, calmer weather conditions have helped firefighting crews bring the blaze under control.
Que es que podemos dar esta buena noticia de estabilización de este incendio tan cruento, complejo, difícil y terrible, ¿no? Como hemos vivido, ¿no? El balance inicial son de 7.000 hectáreas quemadas, con un perímetro de más de 40 kilómetros, para que nos hagamos una idea del alcance de lo que ha tenido este incendio en estos días.
Authorities have said that around 1,500 people who had been evacuated are now allowed to return home. They suspect that the wildfire began on Thursday when a power line broke during an extreme heat wave that has pushed temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius in recent weeks.
Spain's former Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy has courted controversy after stating that France's team is playing, quote, without Frenchmen at this year's World Cup. Rajoy made the comment in a World Cup-themed column he has been writing for Spanish newspaper El Debate. His latest article looked ahead to Spain's upcoming fixture against Les Bleus in an all-European semi-final clash. He wrote that France had a top-tier squad, but that was quickly followed up with the comment that it does not include any Frenchmen, an apparent reference to the fact that many players on the team have immigrant backgrounds or hail from former French colonies. Of all the 26 players called up by head coach Didier Deschamps, only 3 were born outside France: Michael Olise, born in London to an English and French parent, Marcus Thuram, born in Italy to French football legend Lilian Thuram, and Brice Samba, who was born in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The former conservative premier, who led Spain between 2011 and 2018, received widespread backlash over his comments, which were labeled racist and xenophobic. Just days ago, following a French win over Paraguay, star striker Kylian Mbappe was involved in an online row with a Paraguayan lawmaker who racially abused him, posting online that he's a colonized Cameroonian pretending to be French.
Israel's parliament has announced that the country will hold national elections on the 27th of October in a vote that is widely seen as a referendum on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel's parliament, which is known as the Knesset, will complete its term on 17 July, allowing the country's ruling coalition to complete its 4-year term for the first time in decades. It is the first national vote since the start of Israel's war in Gaza in 2023 and against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, as well as its war on Iran in collaboration with the US earlier this year. Netanyahu is the country's longest-serving prime minister. He has served multiple times during non-consecutive terms and has declared his intention to run again. His government is one of the most right-wing coalitions in Israel's history, but polls show many are unhappy with Netanyahu, mainly over how he handled the Iran war. US Republican Senator and close Trump ally Lindsey Graham has died at 71 following a brief and sudden illness, his office announced. Graham was a prominent Republican voice on foreign policy. The senator had recently returned from Ukraine, where he met with President Volodymyr Zelensky to discuss support for Kyiv and sanctions on Russia. Graham also advised Trump on Iran, urging a more hawkish approach.
Her voice is unique.
Graham represented the state of South Carolina, was elected to the United States Senate in 2002 after starting his career as a lawyer in the U.S. Air Force. He had been serving as the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee up until his death.
Democratic support.
Green construction and renovation are being explored in Paris as a potential solution to European cities' climbing temperatures. In June, an extraordinary heatwave hit Europe, breaking temperature records and causing more than 2,000 excess deaths in France alone, according to French authorities. The construction of buildings and their occupation accounts for around 35% of greenhouse gas emissions in the EU alone, the European Environment Agency says. But architect Adrien Poulin explains why green construction generates less greenhouse gas emissions.
L'éco-construction a l'avantage d'être décarbonée, c'est-à-dire qu'elle emmagasine beaucoup moins d'énergie dans ses techniques, dans sa fabrication. Dans les matériaux également, il demande moins de transport, moins de transformation. Et donc effectivement, ça permet de répondre notamment aux engagements pris pour l'accord de Paris.
The EEA says buildings account for 42% of energy use in the EU, much of it for heating and cooling, making building design key to saving energy. One example is a 2025-built library on the outskirts of Paris in Le Chesnay-Rocancourt, which stayed open during the June heatwave without air conditioning. Gaël Ledoré-Montier, director of the Simone Veil Library, describes conditions inside the building during the heatwave.
Alors, jusqu'à 35-36 degrés à l'extérieur, nous avons réussi à maintenir une température interne à 23 degrés 5, 25 degrés 5. Par contre, avec la vague de chaleur inédite qui s'est produite la semaine dernière, donc quand les températures étaient à 41-42 degrés, au maximum, vraiment le samedi soir, on avait atteint les 32. C'est beaucoup, mais on reste dans les 10 degrés de moins que l'extérieur.
Poulin says one of the biggest barriers to green construction is cost, which projects often 15 to 20% more expensive than conventional construction, as well as a lack of industry knowledge.
C'est aussi la méconnaissance, parce que ça demande d'adapter tous les process pour les entreprises. C'est plus du ciment qui sèche très très vite, c'est plus des boulons qu'on vient enfoncer comme ça avec une visseuse qui est déjà très industrialisée, etc. C'est tout un apprentissage, c'est un vrai savoir-faire.
Paris's deputy mayor for housing says the city has used only bio-based insulation in public building renovations since 2020, but he adds that second homeowners remain a key obstacle to private renovations.
Parce qu'il y a près de 30% des logements privés qui sont des logements vacants ou des résidences secondaires, donc les propriétaires de résidences secondaires qui sont nombreux dans les bouilloires, dans les quartiers anciens du centre de Paris où il y a beaucoup de bouilloires thermiques. Comme ils n'habitent pas là, ils votent contre les travaux.
Baudrier suggests lowering taxes to around 5.5% on eco-friendly building materials to reduce eco-construction costs. Meanwhile, the EU aims for zero-emission buildings by 2050, but according to the EU, about 75% of its building stock remains energy inefficient.
Não negues mais, meu amor. Não fujas deste destino e apaga essa dor.
Hey, it's Stuart here, and welcome to the Service 95 Book Club. If you're anything like me, books aren't just something that you read and put down. They stay with you. They're passports, mirrors, escape routes, secret maps for finding yourself or getting completely lost in the best way. Wherever I go, tour buses, airports, studios, there's always a book in my bag or tucked into a jacket pocket.
dar-te o raiar do sol. Eu vou dar-te o amanhecer, vou roubar ao mar.
Desde que definimos que esse era o modo de partida, que depois começamos a pensar porque é que íamos criar este novo espaço, o que é que ele ia aportar à conversa. E o tema da liberdade de expressão foi desde logo o que nos motivou e é o que nos motiva nesta biblioteca.
I'm grateful to Dua Lipa, I'm grateful to the Livraria Lello, the Lello bookstore. I'm grateful to everyone who was involved in the project because here I am in this amazing library and I see authors I read when I was an adolescent, Fahrenheit 451, 1984, To Kill a Mockingbird, which is just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book.
I work in, political advocacy back in the United States, and so to see this kind of space in such an era of so much censorship is super inspiring.
Margaret Atwood began writing The Handmaid's Tale.
The opportunity to actually kind of sit down and reflect at the moment we're at in history, in a place where it can feel tranquil.
Eu vou dar-te o amanhecer, vou roubar ao mar a longura para te entregar em ternura. Eu vou dar-te o anoitecer,